Let me ask you a question. What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus, which we've all been through. Really put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow?
Hey everybody, this is Philip from What If Tomorrow Media. I want to sit down. I was recording a video for our Get Home Bag series on a budget. I just want to share some thoughts with you I've had over the past few days. Do me a favor, like and share this video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you like the channel, if you like what we're doing here. If you don't, let us know. Let us know what you want to see from us on the channel. Mark and I both. I mean, we're trying to trying to learn. We're trying to grow. Trying to help everybody. You know, from what I've said, go from code zero to cold yellow. You know, to always have it in the back of your mind. Hey, something could happen. Something could happen today that will affect you 3 days from now. That will affect you a week from now, a month, a year, a few years, or a lifetime. You never know what is going to happen that could affect you. The food supply situation is critical if you're not prepared. Have a way, grow your own food. I'm going to start doing some videos on that when it starts warming up. We're going to get a garden in. We've got some other projects we're going to be getting into, aquaponics, greenhouse, stuff like that. We're going to do it all on video is the plan. But I wanted to share some thoughts with you I had today because here in southeastern Kansas, it's snowing right now. It's kind of been off of the norm for the last few years. We haven't got a lot of snow here. I mean, as a kid, it seemed to be a lot more than what we're getting now. Call it climate change, call it what you will, it doesn't matter. But the weather forecast was for around 10 inches of snow, okay, over the next few days. Some places it's not very much, but if you've seen the videos from around Fort Worth, the pile up, unfortunately, that costs lives. You need to think about things like that. You need to think about your preparedness. That way you can be a step ahead. If you remember back, I'm sure everybody does, when the lockdown started with COVID and all that, there was a huge rush to the grocery store to stock up. There was nothing to be found. I call it the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. So have that in the back of your mind. Think about that situation, how everything was affected seemingly overnight. But anyway, we went to the grocery store yesterday, my wife and my kids and I, just picking up a few things. It wasn't anything like panic. Oh crap, I've got to go get this and this and this and this, and all this stuff because we don't have anything. No, we were fine. We just wanted to pick up a few things, not in a panic. I think we got a little bit of bread. We needed milk, because I have little kids. Picked up some stuff to cook for dinner tonight and tomorrow night, just because we didn't want the hassle. It's going to be cold and all that stuff. So we wanted some kind of hearty foods, that way we'd stick with us and keep us warm and all that good stuff. But what I did notice was there was no produce. Most of the meat was gone. Most of the milk was gone. Most of the bread was gone. Because people were not prepared. They've been calling for this storm for almost a week. People aren't paying attention. I'm not judging these people by any means. I don't want you to think I am. But what I am doing is looking at the reality of the situation. If something bad were to happen to where it affected our supply chain, if trucking goes down, say an EMP hits, knocks out total power, the supply chain goes down because the stores like Walmart, your local groceries, and all that stuff, the food doesn't come from around the area you're from. Most of the time, you might have some mom and pop stores, little mom and pop grocery stores that are provided by a local farmer or grower or something like that. But most of your food comes from a lot farther than where you live. So give that some thought. Have food preps, water preps on hand. Like I said, if you learned anything from COVID, that stuff can disappear overnight. And if something bad was to happen to the supply chain, at a minimum, if trucking stops, you have 3 days worth of food left in your grocery store. You have no access to water. What happens if, and like again, we'll use EMP as the example. What happens if an EMP hits? Well, I have water. No, you won't. Unless you're running a hand well. On my property, I have 2 wells, and they have hand pumps for this reason. We bought this place where I live for a specific reason, so we could prepare. Now, admittedly, like I've said in previous videos, I got complacent. I got comfortable. But I'm back on edge again. I'm like, man, what is going on? I seen an article today about guns and this and that, and I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter. I don't want to see a civil war. Nobody wants to see that. And I'm not talking anything bad about it, but imagine and think about the ramifications of a civil war. I mean, we're divided as a nation, and I'm trying not to be political. I'm just trying to get you to think. But think about what would happen if there were a civil war. What would happen if the measures of control that are being threatened come to pass? What happens? Where do we go? Where do you go? Because ultimately, the only person you can help is you. Obviously, the government isn't going to help us. They don't care about us. I don't care if you're left, right, center, whatever. Realize now that the government does not care about the people. That's not the point of this. I'm trying to make you think about any situation that could arise. Going back to the EMP or a disaster. Say you have, we're coming on tornado season here in Kansas. It could absolutely happen really fast. What happens? What are you going to do? What do you have that can get you through a minimum 3 days for FEMA to get to your position? Minimum. If you look at Katrina, it was weeks. We had a flood here in 2007. It was several days before FEMA got here to help. So what did people do? They relied on the government to provide water. So have options. Use your options. Something simple as a snowstorm will wipe out a store. The town we were in has a population of roughly 10,000 people. What happens if you have a population of 30,000 people, 100,000 people? There's a town not far from us that has about 30,000 people in it, and there may be 4 or 5 grocery stores. Is that enough? So think about these things. Put yourself in a position and say, hey, am I ready? Ask yourself and be honest with yourself. That's the most important key is honesty, especially with yourself. Don't fool yourself thinking you're ready. I've got more videos in mind and this and that, and I intend to make the videos, but this to me was important because COVID, obviously, to me, when I walked into the grocery store last night, COVID didn't teach anybody anything about stocking up. Just as simple as that. Simple canned goods. You don't have to go overboard. You don't have to go above and beyond. People are getting comfortable again because, obviously COVID, most people think isn't as big as a deal as they made it out to be, and thankfully so. Sure, we're losing people. Never going to say it's not real. It's not happening. I've known people that are affected by it. I've known people that have died from it. But it's making everybody's going back to the status quo and getting comfortable. They're moving back from code yellow to code 0. So I'm asking you as a viewer, as a listener, to move back up to code yellow. Always be ready. Always prepare. You don't have to have a ton of stuff. Start out with 3 days, like I said, because it's going to be 3 days before FEMA arrives at a minimum. Start with 3 days. If you don't have it, start with a day. Start with something. It's never too late to start preparing. I heard a guy saying, well, it's too late to prepare. I totally disagree with that. We are not in a situation to where we have to survive. Our grocery stores are doing fine. Our businesses, aside from COVID and the issues with that, our shops, places where you can go. If you followed the last video, everything I've gotten was pretty much from Walmart. Walmart's not going anywhere, obviously. Dollar Tree, you've probably watched some of Mark's videos, and Dollar Tree, Dollar General or your local dollar store, things like that, have plenty of things. You have options. So I ask you to look into those options, to use those options. That way, you're ready, you're prepared. That's all I'm asking you guys. I want you guys to keep it in mind. So do me a favor, like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help us grow as a media source. You're not going to get the latest news. You're not going to get all that content. Mark and I have a vision for what we want to do here at What If Tomorrow Media. And this is the ground floor. So help us set the foundation. Be part of that foundation. Help us grow with you guys. Go check our website out at whatiftomorrowpc.com. I just last week went and rebuilt the entire website. We've got books for preparedness, first aid books, wild edible vegetables or plants, you name it. First aid, like I said, Back to the Basics is a huge book. It's a good book. It breaks everything down pioneer style. Yes, we live in a world of convenience, quite frankly. I'm guilty of it too. So I want to take some of this stuff out of these videos and show you, hey, this is my journey. Mark is involved too. We're going to do some projects around my place here. I've got about 10 acres that we can do a lot of stuff on to prepare. We're looking at a greenhouse. We're looking at getting into aquaponics, building a smokehouse, things like that. Growing a garden, obviously, because I have room. If you don't have room, find a way. Grow a windowsill garden. Throw some tomato plants in there. Get some extra food going. That way you're not totally reliant upon the government and the current system that we have. So do us a favor. Like and subscribe to this. Comment below. Any suggestions, any comments, we'll answer them as soon as we get them. If not, it'll be a little bit later, but we'll get them answered. Go check us out on the podcast, the What If Tomorrow podcast. We do preparedness, but we do a lot of other just random topics as well, because that's where we started at. That's our foundation. All of you that have came over from the podcast to start watching the videos, we're trying to get it into place to where we're going to start sharing our podcast on the channel as well. So again, like, share, subscribe. Check out the website, What If Tomorrow PC. Look at our affiliates over there. We have My Patriot Supply, EMP Shield, Amazon. We have tons of stuff up on the website. We've got our shirts up there, stuff like that. Help us grow our channel. Help us get the things that we need to improve the content for you guys. So anyway, that's about all I've got. I'll share some more thoughts later on. I've got some other things in the works. But yeah, stay in yellow, everybody. Stay in yellow. We'll talk to you next time.